On today's episode of WatchJRGo, we are back in the shop with my $800 Mercedes 190E. And in the last video, we got this thing running and we drove it. But now it needs to drive on its own, right? I have to help it right now, and I want to get past that. We need to work together and move past that little hiccup. What is going on, guys? I am WatchJRGo, and today, like I said, we are back with my Mercedes 190E. And in the last video, of course, we put the whole car back together because we found out the fuel pump wasn't getting power, right? So we remounted the fuel pumps that showed up hanging underneath the car. We unplugged the connector here in the back seat, which is why you can see the back seat is out. And we hooked power up to the pump, and magically, the whole thing ran, and we took it on a drive, and it was pretty great right up until the jump pack died. So it's pretty critical in a car to have a power system that's recharged by the alternator so that gasoline is powering the everything and not just some rechargeable batteries that can't run quite that long. We do have the battery over here on the trickle charger because it has to crank for quite a while to start up, since we have to like hook up the jump pack and then get everything going. And then obviously we haven't been able to take it on a real drive yet, so it's all being short cycled. So the battery was hurting a little bit. So today we're actually gonna pull the battery out of here. We need to remove all of this, and we have to get to the relay that's behind it that actually drives the fuel pump. So we talked about the MOS relay in that last video, but the thing is that relay is $200+, which is more than a quarter of the value of the car, right? And I don't want to misdiagnose this and buy that relay if that's not what's actually going on. So I do know that we can feed power through the pins on that relay back to the back, I think. And if that's actually the problem, today we're going to find out with the power probe, then I'm going to order the relay. So we obviously haven't pulled the trigger on it yet. It should be the last thing this car needs, but it needs a little bit more troubleshooting before we jump the gun here. With that said, let's get this battery out of here, get this panel off, and start doing a little bit of testing. We'll have to put the battery right back in because we need to test it with the car running. It has to be complete. So it's a little bit annoying, but we'll get all this taken apart here in a moment. First, we need to do a little bit more diagnosis on this before it goes in to the dealership tomorrow. We also just made a video talking about my Volt, and we've got a problem with the EGR valve, or possibly even the EGR cooler. It keeps blowing fuse number 3, which is no walk home. And then I realized, like, I'm gonna take this in here and they're gonna be all upset that it has other problems like the TPMS sensors and stuff. So let's just program a set of TPMS sensors, get all this sorted out before it goes in. So I'm gonna grab the TPMS tool real quick. We're gonna check this, and then it'll be ready to head back out in the morning. I also put it on the charger so it can drive to the dealership without starting up. So first thing in the morning, this has to be dropped off, and they're bringing me home. Gotta love the service. Let's fire this thing up. Honestly, we just programmed a sensor because we just replaced one. I don't know. I mentioned it was a couple months ago or something, so this thing's probably still set up for the Volt. Advanced, enter, has not been updated. I don't care. Chevrolet Volt 2017, diagnose. Yes. All right, let's go. Press A key. Take your time. Oh, okay, so we did have TPMS system error on the dash, and of course we had codes for low batteries, and that one shows it's got a low battery. Let's check this one here. Okay, that battery's looking good. And another one. This one could be dead. Nothing's happening. I try to get as close as possible, but you really never know where the pickup antenna is. Hey, that one's not, I mean, it's dead, but it responded. And absolutely nothing from this one. It could take as long as the other one did, though. Wow, I think we might have 3 dead sensors. Maybe I didn't replace 2 of them last time. I might have just done one real quick there. So nothing's happening here. It usually doesn't take this long. Usually it times out somewhere in here. It says it can't. Connect to OBD2 port. No. Well, guys, I've got 3 new sensors here, still in the bag. These are the Autel MX sensor. I think it's just called sensor 1 if you're looking those up. Yeah, 1 sensor. That's the part number, actually. And you can see here that we have low battery, okay, low battery, and nothing. So I'm gonna program these 3 and we'll just bulk program them and we'll be ready to go. All right, these are set up for a volt. I think the only thing the programming does is write a hex ID that's random to them and then put them on the right frequency. It's really not that big of a deal, but I'll put all these right here and hopefully they see them and leave me alone. That's our goal. I'd love to put them in, but I called Johnny and his tire machine's being serviced, so I won't be able to put those in until after this thing comes back. But if you guys are right in the comments, it could be more than a month before this car comes back. I hope not, because everybody was saying they were back ordered, like a 1 month wait, but we'll see. We'll see when it shows back up. That's all I can say. I'd love to have it back quickly because you never know when you gotta go on a road trip, and the Volt is the ultimate road trip mobile. So we've got the Volt lined out and we're ready to move on as soon as the dealership is done with their magic. Let's jump back on the 190E here. So I think this plastic came out before. I don't know if I actually got it out of there, but oh, look at that. It's actually super easy. Okay, so the relay is that gigantic metal box right back there. It says Moss on it. So it's this whole thing here. I gotta remove that, which I think unscrews or something here. So I know you guys can't see what I'm doing, but I'm turning this top knob. And you know what? I need more room to work, so I'm just gonna go ahead and get the battery out of here. And then unfortunately, the ECUs are back there too. This thing has 2 ECUs, which is pretty wild. I need to get the battery out so I can spin that top nut that's on the relay and then wiggle it out of there. So let's grab what looks like a 13 and get to work. Yeah, buddy. Shout out to Mercedes for these nice battery terminals that are still holding up 25 years, 30, wait. Almost 35 years later, huh? This thing's almost to its antique tag. All right. Honestly, this 190E is so old, I forgot just how old it was. It's really hard to get in there on that one. You'd think it'd be a socket job, but it couldn't face this direction. This isn't gonna be fun. Well, I guess if I put the hood in service mode, it would help. Let's do that. Okay, maybe it doesn't help. It's kind of right in the way, but at least I don't have to angle my body as much. There we go. Now we got room to work. How's this relay come out of here? Wow, I had to turn that thing and turn that thing. You will not believe how hard it was. And now all these wires are right in the way. Come on. Who on earth engineered this? I'm trying to get it out of here. Trying as hard as I can. We got it. All right, there's the relay. Why is it such a pain? Ah, the whole can slides. Okay, so if you push in and these tabs grab the sides, and then if you twist this way, it pulls the pins out. And if you twist this way, you guys can see it now, it pushes the relay down in. What a ridiculous, overcomplicated, nonsense design, Mercedes. And it's really hard to turn because it fills up with trash. Oh, whatever. Let's hook some power up to pins 1 and 2, which happen to be these big guys right here on the end. And there's also some locating pins. All right, so it faces this way. We know that, Moss towards the front. 1 and 2 are the furthest pins over to the passenger side. So those should feed the fuel pump directly. That's all I know. I'm gonna hook some jumper cables up to the battery so that we can kind of see how this is supposed to work, and hopefully, maybe I'll just ohm it out. Maybe I'll just run a wire to the back and ohm this out so we know which wire up here should be positive to the fuel pump. That would answer all of our questions, so let's do that. Let's get a really long wire. All right, so the internet says that 1 and 2 are the fuel pump pins. And I know it's really hard to see in here, but I'm gonna go ahead and just put the meter on one of these pins and see, do we get 12 volts? So there's one, nothing. And here's the next one. Ooh, look at that. So obviously we're on this jump pack here. So we do have 15 volts instead of 12. These things are monsters. So it does look like if I put a jumper across those two pins, we should get fuel pump. So let's hook the fuel pump back up real quick. That's our next order of business. I still have it set up for the jump pack action here. I have to extend it with this lead here and then hook the jump pack up, but let's go ahead and do this. So she's all hooked back up. Now if we find a little jumper, we should be able to connect these two pins and hear the fuel pump start. And here we go. I bet we're gonna throw a big spark as these connect. Hey, fuel pump. It's connected. Okay, so that means all the wiring's good. It must mean it's a bad relay. I kind of think if you just jump this and I actually get it to stay down in those holes, it lets it run and drive. So let's find out. I'm gonna go ahead and slide this down in the little pins. You can see these are all very interesting connectors with these big round pins. I'm gonna go ahead and try to slide the jumper down in there, and if it'll stay, I think we can just fire it up and be ready to rock. Now, obviously this doesn't solve our future problem of needing the car to work, because this does control the AC compressor and a bunch of other stuff, so its power and all the distribution that happens inside that relay is very critical. But I'm gonna go ahead and slide this in if I can and see if it puts us in a state where we can drive it. It might fix it. Okay, she's ripping. Let's see if it'll start. I think it will. We're definitely circulating fuel up to the front. It doesn't like to start yet, but there it goes. Now she's running. I can put the back seat back. I don't have to be all hacked in now. Woo! Finally, we can clean this thing up. Diagnostics complete, I think. The only thing we haven't actually figured out is the relay bad? But it must be bad. It only makes sense that the relay's trash because it's a common failure. Not because of anything else. I actually don't know what we'd have to do to test that relay out. It's obviously very complex. It has racks of pins in there. I don't know what's supposed to enable the fuel pump. All I know is at this point, we know everything else works, so the best course of action is probably just spend the $200 and change and see if we've solved the problem altogether. It sounds like the fans are turned on. I think this fan is on. Yeah, that fan is on. Not the E-fans. The E-fans are probably on that relay. Let's see how we're doing here. Oh, we're charging, baby. We could go drive it. I just don't want to be holding the bag for when that jumper falls out while we're going down the road. Yeah, baby. All right, see, we drove it. Oh, I might drive the hood right into the Camaro. Mercedes sorted. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and put this order in tonight. These things apparently only exist on eBay. I mean, it's such a specialty part. It's even USA or Euro branded based on where you're at. But yeah, I think the cool thing is we can shut the car off like this. You guys ready? Oh no, the alternator's running it! I did not expect this thing to keep running with no battery in circuit. We just took away all of its power. That's pretty crazy. It just kept right on chugging. Alternator was putting in work there for a second. All right, well that is excellent news. I should have done this the last time. I just kind of assumed the relay was bad, but then once it was time to actually pull the trigger, I was like, there's no way I'm doing this without at least testing this fuel pump circuit. That thing pulls some power. This wire's warm. Let's see, how warm is it? The floor is probably pretty cold right now. Look at that. All right, we probably can't get close enough, but I mean, that wire feels hot. Kind of cool. All right, guys, let's look around in here since we've got the old thermal gun out. Wow, yeah. It looks like it might not be running totally on that cylinder, or that valve was open. It looks a little bit cooler on that one cylinder. Everything else is running great. I mean, we've never really driven this thing. How are these cables? Warm. It's all warm. Look at all that heat right there. Oh, it's all the heat from the exhaust. Well, there you have it, guys. The Mercedes is ready to go. And I know a lot of people are asking for updates in the comments, and I was like, I mean, the update's coming. I gotta get to it. And here we are getting to it. It's been pretty annoying having to get out 2 jump packs now because the battery started going dead and I had to run the fuel pump. So now we've got this situation sorted out. I'm probably just gonna leave it right here and hope this thing shows up very quickly. And then of course, we'll get the Volt done Monday. Porsche parts will all be ready Tuesday so we can do the Porsche. And then hopefully this is right after that. And then we're back on the Camaro, which I know a lot of people have been asking about. So there you go, that was a discovery mission. Let's put this car back together. And that wraps up what we need to do on the Mercedes for the day. And then the finishing touch should just be minutes. I sure hope it's just minutes until, you know, I order the relay and it shows up and it doesn't work. That's better. Looks like a car again. Obviously we have a detail to do after this. We're gonna get this Benz all cleaned up, but now we know. And we're on to the next project. That is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to head on over to shop WatchJRGo.com for cool shirts, not like this. And please like, share, subscribe, do whatever you want to do, and I will talk to you next time. The only other thing we got to do is make sure that battery is charging, and it is. Always have to walk over here. You can tell the wire that's stretched across the floor is 2, and 2 shows it's charging now. So we'll have this battery all charged up and ready to rock when we come back out in the morning. And hopefully it doesn't take too long for this relay to actually show up. You guys aren't gonna believe this, but I got a new in-box 0115457932. New, in a box that looks like it's every bit as old as this car. The box is falling apart in the pictures, but it says the relay's brand new, so it's on the way, and it won't be here until November 4th, which is an insane amount of time to wait, but oh well, it should be back on the road just after the 4th. So, I'm gonna pack everything up under here, we'll get the battery charged, and then we'll be ready to put it back together as soon as the parts show up.